The massive silver ship hung silently in space, far beyond the reach of Earth's primitive sensors. Inside its gleaming halls, dozens of alien beings gathered around floating screens that showed images from a small blue planet. The Galactic Council had finally discovered the third planet from the star humans called Sol. Commander Vex 9, a tall creature with 4 arms and skin like polished metal, studied the incoming data streams. His species, the Zephyrians, had been exploring space for over 10,000 years. They knew how to spot dangerous civilizations from a distance. What they saw from Earth confused them greatly. "Show me their military broadcasts again," Vex 9 commanded. The screens filled with images of human soldiers running through obstacle courses, jumping over walls, crawling under barbed wire, and fighting hand-to-hand combat. The aliens watched in silence as humans threw themselves at each other in training exercises, their faces covered in mud and sweat. "Incredible," whispered Dr. Keth Prime, the Council's chief anthropologist. Her tentacles twitched nervously as she took notes. "Look how they train their young warriors. They make them fight in the mud for hours. And see how they smile while doing it? They enjoy the pain." Another screen showed humans participating in what Earth called extreme sports. The aliens watched humans jump from perfectly good aircraft, throw themselves off cliffs with only thin ropes to save them, and ride down mountains on narrow boards at deadly speeds. Most shocking of all, other humans cheered and celebrated these activities. "By the 7 moons," gasped Council Member Theska, her fish-like gills fluttering in distress. "They participate in death rituals for entertainment. Look at this one. He is diving into water from an impossible height, and the crowd celebrates when he survives." The screens switched to show human martial arts competitions. Aliens watched in horror as humans kicked, punched, and threw each other around padded arenas. The fact that humans had thousands of different fighting styles from around their planet suggested to the aliens that warfare was their primary cultural activity. "Count the combat. Disciplines," ordered Vex 9. "Boxing, wrestling, karate, kung fu, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. How many ways can one species find to hurt each other?" But it was the survival shows that truly terrified the Galactic Council. They watched humans eat insects, drink their own filtered wastewater, make fire by rubbing sticks together, and sleep in freezing temperatures with no technology to help them. Worse yet, the humans seemed to enjoy these challenges. This one, Dr. Keth Prime pointed at a screen showing a human survival expert, has been dropped alone in a desert with no food or water. By our calculations, he should be dead within 2 days. But look, he is building shelter and finding water sources. He even seems happy about it. The council members exchanged worried glances. Their own species required controlled environments, regular meals, and comfortable temperatures to survive. The idea of deliberately putting themselves in danger for fun was completely alien to them. Council member Rintor, whose people resembled large purple crystals, vibrated at a frequency that indicated deep concern. "We have intercepted their historical data files. This species has survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, floods, and plagues. Each time they became stronger and spread to new areas of their planet. Show me their habitat." "Range," requested Vex 9. The main screen displayed a map of Earth. Red dots appeared everywhere, from the frozen poles to burning deserts, from high mountains to deep ocean floors. Humans had built cities in places that would kill most galactic species within minutes. "They live everywhere," whispered Dr. Keth Prime. "Hot, cold, wet, dry, high altitude, low altitude. There's no environment on their planet they have not conquered." But the most frightening discovery came when they analyzed human entertainment. The aliens intercepted broadcasts of action movies, war films, and horror stories. To them, these looked like documentary evidence of human capabilities and preferences. They watched humans in movies survive explosions, fight against impossible odds, and refuse to surrender even when facing certain death. The aliens did not understand the concept of fiction. To them, these broadcasts proved that humans regularly face situations that would terrify entire galactic fleets. "Look at this data," announced Thiska, her voice shaking. "In this recorded event, a single human fought against hundreds of enemies using only primitive weapons. When his weapons broke, he continued fighting with his bare hands. When injured, he used his own blood to blind his opponents." "Are you certain this is real?" asked Vex 9. The broadcast came from their primary entertainment networks. "Why would they create false records of events?" The concept of movies and fictional entertainment was unknown to most galactic species. Their own entertainment consisted of peaceful activities like meditation, gentle music, and philosophical discussions. The idea that beings would create violent fantasy stories for fun was beyond their understanding. Dr. Keth Prime compiled her final report as the council watched more human broadcasts. Sports competitions showed humans pushing their bodies to absolute limits. News reports showed humans running into burning buildings to save strangers, diving into dangerous waters to rescue others, and risking their lives for people they had never met. Their pack loyalty is extraordinary, she noted. They will die for other humans without hesitation. But they also fight each other constantly. It appears they enjoy conflict so much that when they have no external enemies, they create internal ones. The aliens watched footage of human protests, debates, and political arguments. To them, it looked like a species in constant internal warfare, somehow managing to cooperate only when facing outside threats. What about their relationship with other species on their planet? Asked Rintor. The screen showed humans with dogs, cats, horses, and dozens of other animals. But the aliens misunderstood these relationships completely. They have domesticated predatory beasts, gasped Thaiska. Look, this human keeps a wolf descendant in his dwelling, and this one rides on a creature 10 times her weight. They have turned other species into weapons. The fact that humans showed affection for their pets was interpreted as a dominance display. When the aliens saw humans training dogs to attack on command, they assumed all Earth animals were weapons in humanity's arsenal. The final piece of evidence came from human social media and personal recordings. The council watched humans performing dangerous stunts, taking risks for fun and laughing in situations that should have terrified them. They saw humans eating foods that would be toxic to most aliens, drinking beverages that contained actual poison, and exposing themselves to radiation for the purpose of changing their skin color. They consume ethanol for pleasure, reported Dr. Keth Prime, her voice barely a whisper, a substance that damages their neural systems. They also eat plants that cause physical pain in their mouths, and they seem to enjoy it. Commander Vex-9 stared at the screen showing humans enjoying spicy food, drinking alcohol and sunbathing on beaches. To his species, these activities looked like forms of self-torture that humans had somehow learned to enjoy. Recommendation? He asked his staff. The council chamber fell silent. Finally, Dr. Keth Prime spoke. This species is unlike anything we have encountered. They thrive in conditions that would kill us. They fight for entertainment. They consume poison for pleasure. They have weaponized their entire planet and domesticated predatory beasts. Most disturbing of all, they seem to become stronger when facing adversity. She paused, looking at the screen showing humans laughing, playing, and living their normal lives. I recommend we proceed with extreme caution. These beings may be the most dangerous species the galaxy has ever seen. 3 months after their initial discovery, the Galactic Council faced a difficult decision. They had never encountered a species like humanity before, and their standard protocols seemed inadequate. Commander Vex-9 stood before the full assembly, his forearms gesturing at the holographic displays surrounding them. We need more data, he announced to the gathered representatives of 47 different species. Our observations suggest these humans are extraordinarily dangerous, but we cannot make contact without understanding their true capabilities. Dr. Keth Prime floated nearby, her tentacles nervously arranging data tablets. Our psychological profiles indicate they respond to threats with increased aggression rather than submission. This is highly unusual behavior. Council member Thaiska's gills fluttered anxiously. My people suggest we simply avoid their solar system entirely. Why risk contact with such a violent species? But Rintor, the crystalline being, vibrated with disagreement. We cannot ignore them. Their technology is advancing rapidly. In 50 years, they may develop faster than light travel. Better to assess them now while we still have the advantage. The debate continued for hours. Some species wanted to destroy Earth preemptively. Others suggested surrounding the human solar system with warning beacons. But Commander Vex-9 had a different idea. We will test them, he decided. A controlled scenario that will reveal their true nature without putting ourselves at risk. The plan was simple in concept but complex in execution. They would create a fake alien invasion using automated drones and holographic projectors. The humans would be presented with clearly superior technology and overwhelming force. According to galactic standards, any reasonable species would immediately surrender. and request negotiations. The test will last exactly 72 hours, Vex 9 explained to his staff. Long enough to observe their response patterns, but short enough to minimize damage. We will then reveal the deception and begin proper first contact procedures. Dr. Keth Prime raised a tentacle in concern. What if they respond more aggressively than expected? Our drones are equipped with shields that can withstand anything their primitive weapons might produce. The risk is minimal. Within weeks, the Council had assembled a fleet of automated ships. The vessels were designed to look appropriately menacing. Large, dark, and covered with weapons that were actually just holographic projectors. They would appear over major human cities, demand surrender, and observe how humanity responded. The operation began on a Tuesday morning, Earth time. Massive ships materialized in the skies over New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, and a dozen other major cities. The holographic projectors created an impressive display of alien technology, complete with energy weapons and force fields. On the Council's observation ship, hundreds of alien beings watched the human response with intense interest. Initial reactions followed predictable patterns: panic, confusion, and attempts by human governments to establish communication. Look, pointed out Dr. Keth Prime, their military forces are mobilizing, but they are also trying to talk. This suggests they may be more reasonable than our data indicated. But as the hours passed, the alien observers began to notice unexpected developments. Instead of cowering in fear or offering immediate surrender, humans were doing something the Council had never seen before. "What are they doing to our drones?" asked Thys Ka, staring at her monitoring screen. Human military forces had begun systematic attacks on the alien vessels, but not in ways the Council expected. Instead of using only their most powerful weapons, humans were trying everything. They fired missiles, bullets, lasers, and even rocks. When those failed to penetrate the drone shields, they tried electromagnetic pulses, sonic weapons, and chemical attacks. "They are learning," observed Rintor with growing concern. "Each attack is more sophisticated than the last." But the real surprise came when human scientists began analyzing the alien technology. Teams of researchers appeared near crash sites within hours, studying debris and energy signatures. The Council watched in amazement as humans started to understand their technology with impossible speed. "This cannot be accurate," stammered Dr. Keth Prime. "According to our data, they should need decades to comprehend our most basic systems." "Check the readings again," ordered Vex 9. The confirmation came back the same. Human scientists were reverse engineering alien technology in real time. Within 48 hours of the invasion's start, human facilities were producing crude but functional copies of alien energy weapons. Worse yet, humans were displaying the kind of cooperation the Council had never seen. Military forces shared intelligence instantly across national boundaries. Civilian populations organized supply lines and evacuation procedures with remarkable efficiency. Scientists from different countries worked together as if they had been colleagues for years. "Look at this," said Thys Ka, her voice filled with disbelief. "A human child has created a weapon using household materials and principles derived from our energy signatures." The screen showed a 12-year-old girl explaining to her online followers how to build a device that could disrupt alien shield frequencies. Her video had been viewed millions of times and translated into dozens of languages within hours. "How is this possible?" asked Vex 9. "They appear to have global information networks that allow instant communication," reported Dr. Keth Prime. "Their entire species is sharing knowledge faster than our computers can track." By the end of the second day, the situation had spiraled completely out of control. Human forces were launching coordinated counterattacks using weapons they had invented during the invasion. Civilian populations were manufacturing alien-inspired technology in their homes and schools. Most terrifying of all, humans seemed to be enjoying the challenge. "Commander," reported one of his staff members, "we are receiving communications from the humans." "Put it through." The message came from a coalition of human governments and military leaders. The speaker was an elderly human female with silver hair and calm eyes. "To the beings currently testing our planet's defenses," she began, "we know this is not a real invasion. Your technology is impressive, but your tactics are too restrained. A species capable of interstellar travel would not limit themselves to hovering over cities and making light shows." Vex 9 felt his blood temperature drop. "They know it's a test?" The human continued. We assume you are evaluating us for some purpose. We are willing to discuss your intentions peacefully. However, if you prefer to continue this exercise, we should mention that we have now developed weapons capable of penetrating your shields. We have also reverse-engineered your faster-than-light communication systems and have been listening to your conversations. The council chamber erupted in panic. Aliens fled their stations as emergency alarms blared throughout the ship. "Impossible," shouted Dr. Keth Prime. "Our communications are encrypted with quantum keys that should take centuries to decode." "They did it in 60 hours, reported a technician, his voice shaking. "They have been monitoring our tactical discussions since yesterday afternoon." Commander Vex 9 stared at the screens showing human forces preparing weapons that had not existed 3 days ago. In less than 72 hours, humanity had not only survived his test but had turned it into an opportunity to advance their technology by decades. "Recall all drones immediately," he ordered. "Cancel the operation." "Sir," interrupted another technician, "the humans are requesting coordinates for a diplomatic meeting. They say they would like to discuss mutual cooperation and technology exchange." The irony was not lost on anyone present. The Galactic Council had intended to test humanity's surrender response. Instead, they had accidentally provided humanity with advanced technology, united the species against a common threat, and demonstrated that humans could adapt to new challenges faster than any known species in the galaxy. As the alien drones retreated from Earth's atmosphere, Vex 9 realized they had made a terrible mistake. They had not tested humanity, they had trained them, and now the humans wanted to talk. News of the failed human test spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. On trading stations, military outposts, and diplomatic worlds, beings gathered around communication devices to hear the impossible story. Each telling made it more frightening than the last. Captain Zix Nala of the Hegemony fleet first heard the tale while refueling at Station Prime 7. She had been a warrior for 3 centuries and thought she had seen everything the universe could offer, but the story told by a trembling Zephyrian trader made her question everything she knew about warfare. "They reverse-engineered our technology in hours," the trader whispered, his forearms shaking as he held his drink. "Hours! What my people spent millennia developing. These humans understood in less time than it takes our younglings to learn basic mathematics." Zix Nala's scales shifted from blue to deep purple, indicating skepticism. "Impossible. No species develops that quickly." "I have the recordings," the trader insisted. The council shared them with all member species as a warning. "Watch for yourself." The footage showed human factories producing alien-inspired weapons while the invasion was still happening. It showed human children explaining complex energy theories on their global networks. Most disturbing of all, it showed humans working together across their entire planet as if they were a single organism. "But that is not the worst part," continued the trader. "When the test ended, the humans were not angry. They were grateful. They thanked the council for the learning experience and invited them to share more technology. Within days, the story had reached every corner of galactic civilization, but as it spread, details were added, changed, and amplified. Species that had never seen a human began to imagine them as monsters beyond description. On the water world of Aquatic 5, the fish-like depth swimmers told each other that humans were a species that consumed poison for pleasure and kept predatory beasts as companions. This was technically true. Humans did drink alcohol and keep dogs as pets, but the context was completely lost. "They drink ethanol regularly," gasped Elder Findeep during a council meeting. "A substance that would kill any of our people instantly. And they smile while doing it." "What about their companions?" asked another elder. "Descended from wolves, pack hunters with sharp teeth and powerful jaws. The humans have somehow convinced these predators to live in their homes and obey their commands." The depth swimmers had never heard of pet dogs. To them, the idea of sharing living space with carnivorous animals sounded like evidence of either incredible bravery or terrible madness. On the crystal world of Harmonic 3, the story grew even more elaborate. The Resonance people, who communicated through vibrations and lived in perfect harmony, were horrified by reports of human behavior. "They fight each other for entertainment," sang Crystal Voice Prime in frequencies that made her audience shiver. "They have created thousands of different ways to cause pain and call it sport. They even allow their younglings to participate in these combat rituals. But why?" Vibrated another crystal voice in confusion. According to the reports, they enjoy conflict. When they have no external enemies, they create internal ones. They organize themselves into competing groups and battle for meaningless prizes. The crystal voices had misunderstood human sports, politics, and competition. To a species that made every decision through unanimous consensus, the idea of deliberate disagreement was terrifying. But it was the military species that took the news most seriously. The Warlock Empire, which had conquered half a dozen systems through superior firepower, held emergency strategy sessions to discuss the human threat. General Scarblade, a massive creature covered in natural armor plates, studied intelligence reports with growing concern. His species had evolved on a world where only the strongest survived, and they respected power above all else. "Show me their military capabilities again," he commanded. The screens displayed human weapons, vehicles, and tactics. What impressed Scarblade was not their advanced technology. By galactic standards, human weapons were primitive. What impressed him was their creativity and adaptability. "Look at this," he pointed at footage of human soldiers. "They use weapons that fire small metal projectiles. Crude by our standards. But they have created thousands of variations of this simple concept. Different sizes, different speeds, different purposes. They never stop improving." His aide, Lieutenant Fangstrike, nodded agreement. "Our analysts believe they have weaponized everything on their planet. They throw rocks with mechanical devices. They use sound as a weapon. They even weaponize the energy that powers their sun." "Nuclear weapons," Scarblade said grimly. "They split atoms to create explosions. But that is not the terrifying part." "What is, General?" "They have enough nuclear weapons to destroy their own planet several times over. But they choose not to use them. This suggests either incredible restraint or incredible confidence." The military analysis of humanity painted a picture of a species that could destroy itself at any moment, but chose cooperation instead. To warrior races like the Warlocks, this suggested that humans possessed unimaginable hidden strengths. But the story that truly spread fear throughout the galaxy came from a damaged Zephyrian probe that had been observing Earth for decades. The probe's data logs contained information about human behavior that seemed impossible to believe. Dr. Mindreach of the Telepathic Collective studied the probe's psychological profiles with growing alarm. Her species communicated through thought and could sense the emotional states of other beings across vast distances. What she read in the probe's files challenged everything her people understood about consciousness. "They dream of conflict," she reported to her fellow telepaths. "Not nightmares of battle, but fantasies where they fight impossible odds and emerge victorious. Their entertainment consists of stories where individuals defeat entire armies." "Perhaps these are fear response dreams," suggested Mind Touch hopefully. "No," Mindreach replied, her mental voice filled with dread. "These are wish fulfillment fantasies. They dream of being in dangerous situations so they can overcome them. A human's greatest fear is not death or pain. It is boredom." The telepathic species found this information more disturbing than reports of human weapons or technology. A species that fantasized about combat was beyond their understanding. As these stories spread, they began to affect galactic economics. Species that traded in luxury goods saw their markets collapse as customers prepared for possible human contact. Military contractors experienced unprecedented demand for weapons and defense systems. Insurance companies refused to cover any activities in sectors near the human solar system. The Merchant Guild held an emergency assembly on the neutral world of Trade Central. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss the economic implications of humanity's discovery. "The situation is catastrophic," announced Profit Seeker Maximum, whose species resembled mobile plants. "Fear of human expansion has caused panic across 17 sectors. Stock values have fallen to levels not seen since the Great Galactic War." "What do we know about human economic systems?" asked another merchant. "According to our analysis, they have multiple competing economic models operating simultaneously on the same planet. They appear to thrive on economic conflict, just as they thrive on physical conflict." This was a misinterpretation of human capitalism, socialism, and mixed economies. To species that typically had one unified economic system per planet, the diversity of human economic thought looked like evidence of a civilization in constant economic warfare. Perhaps the most dramatic reaction came from the Pacifist Alliance, a coalition of peaceful species that had sworn never to engage in violence. They held an emergency vote to determine whether humanity should be classified as a hostile species and avoided entirely. Ambassador Gentle Touch spoke for her people with trembling appendages. Every piece of evidence suggests that humans are genetically programmed for conflict. They fight for entertainment, compete for sport, and challenge themselves with dangerous activities for fun. But they also cooperate, pointed out Ambassador Soft Voice from another pacifist species. During their tests, they united against external threats. That makes them worse, Gentle Touch replied. A species that can switch between internal competition and external cooperation at will is unpredictable. We cannot negotiate with beings whose fundamental nature changes based on circumstances. The vote was unanimous. The pacifist alliance would avoid all contact with humanity until further notice. Meanwhile, on the observation ship hidden beyond Pluto, Commander Vex 9 watched the galactic reaction with growing horror. What had started as a simple first contact protocol had spiraled into a galaxy-wide crisis. The entire galactic community is afraid of them, reported Dr. Keth Prime, her tentacles twisted with anxiety. Species that have never met humans are preparing for war. But we know the truth, Vex 9 protested. Humans are not the monsters these stories make them out to be. Are we certain? Asked Dr. Keth Prime quietly. Look at the data again. Everything these stories claim about humans is technically accurate. They do consume poison for pleasure. They do keep predators as pets. They do fight for entertainment. They did reverse engineer our technology in hours. 6 months after the failed test, the Galactic Council finally decided they could not avoid humanity forever. The panic spreading through galactic civilization was causing economic collapse, military buildups, and diplomatic crises across dozens of sectors. Something had to be done. Commander Vex 9 stood before the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. Representatives from over 200 civilizations had come to participate in humanity's first official contact. The meeting was taking place on Neutral 7, a space station specifically designed for diplomatic encounters between potentially hostile species. The situation is clear, Vex 9 announced to the assembly. Humanity's technological advancement and expansion capabilities pose a significant threat to galactic stability. We must establish contact and negotiate terms before they develop faster than light travel. Dr. Keth Prime floated beside him, surrounded by data tablets containing psychological profiles, threat assessments, and diplomatic strategies.
Our analysis suggests that humans respond to displays of strength.
We recommend approaching with overwhelming force while offering generous terms for peaceful coexistence. The assembled aliens murmured agreement. Most species believed that humanity's aggressive nature could only be contained through superior firepower and attractive surrender conditions. General Scarblade of the Warlock Empire raised a massive claw. My fleets are prepared to provide appropriate intimidation. Humans respect strength above all else. Excellent, replied Vex 9. We will approach Earth with a combined fleet representing the united species of the galaxy. The message will be clear: surrender peacefully and accept our protection, or face the consequences. What the aliens did not understand was that their plan was based entirely on misinterpretations and fear-driven assumptions. They believed they were dealing with a warrior species that would only respond to threats and bribes. In reality, they were about to encounter a civilization that valued curiosity, cooperation, and mutual respect above all else. The combined fleet that approached Earth 3 weeks later was truly impressive. Over 500 ships from dozens of different species created a formation that stretched across thousands of kilometers. Each vessel represented the most advanced military technology its species possessed. On Earth, human governments and scientists watched the approaching fleet with excitement rather than fear. After months of waiting, the aliens were finally returning for the diplomatic contact they had promised. President Chen of the United Earth Council stood in the primary communications center, surrounded by diplomats, scientists, and military advisors from every nation on the planet. The mood was festive rather than fearful. Remember, she addressed her team, this is the most important moment in human history. These beings have technology that could solve our energy problems, cure diseases, and open the stars to us. Let's make a good impression. The first communication from the alien fleet arrived precisely at noon, Greenwich time. The transmission was translated by computers that had been built using technology reverse-engineered from the previous encounter. The alien message was delivered by Commander Vex 9, speaking from the bridge of his massive flagship. His four arms were spread in what his species considered an impressive display of authority. "Greetings, humans of Earth," his translated voice boomed across every communication device on the planet. "I am Commander Vex 9, representing the United Species of the Galactic Council. We come to offer you the opportunity for peaceful coexistence." President Chen stepped forward to respond. "Greetings, Commander Vex 9. We are honored by your presence and excited to begin cultural and technological exchange between our peoples." There was a long pause. On the alien flagship, hundreds of beings stared at their translation devices in confusion. "Did she just refuse to acknowledge our superior position?" whispered Dr. Keth Prime. "She spoke of exchange rather than surrender," confirmed the translator. "The humans appear to believe this is a negotiation between equals." Commander Vex 9 tried again, speaking more slowly and clearly. "We offer you protection from hostile alien species in exchange for accepting relocation to a suitable planet, where you will be safe from galactic conflicts." President Chen blinked in confusion. "I'm sorry, Commander, but I think there may be a translation error. Are you suggesting that we leave Earth?" "For your own safety," Vex 9 explained patiently. "Earth is too close to established trade routes. We can offer you a beautiful world in a distant sector where you will have room to develop without interfering with galactic civilization." The humans in the communication center exchanged bewildered glances. To them, the alien offer sounded like they were being asked to accept exile to a reservation. "That's very kind," President Chen replied diplomatically, "but we're quite happy on Earth. Perhaps instead we could discuss opening trade relationships and sharing scientific knowledge." On the alien ship, panic was beginning to set in. The humans were not only refusing the generous offer of protection, they were making demands for trade and technology sharing. "They want tribute," gasped General Scarblade. "They're demanding that we give them our technology." "This is worse than we thought," agreed Dr. Keth Prime. "They believe they're in a position to make demands of the entire galactic community." Commander Vex 9 decided to be more direct. "Humans of Earth, you must understand your position. We represent hundreds of advanced civilizations with technology far beyond your capabilities. Our offer of relocation is generous considering your species' reputation for violence and unpredictability." President Chen's diplomatic smile faltered slightly. "I'm sorry, Commander, but what reputation for violence? And why do you keep talking about relocation?" The confused exchange continued for hours. Every human attempt at normal diplomatic discourse was interpreted by the aliens as evidence of barely concealed aggression. Every alien attempt at generous terms was seen by humans as condescending and bizarre. The breaking point came when Ambassador Sarah Martinez, Earth's most experienced diplomat, tried to clarify the situation. "Commander Vex 9, she said calmly, "I think we may have some fundamental misunderstandings here. Could you explain exactly what you believe about human civilization? We seem to be talking past each other." To the aliens, this request sounded like a demand for them to reveal their intelligence sources and strategic assessments. Commander Vex 9 interpreted it as a threat. "We know what you are," he replied grimly. "We have observed your species for months. We know about your warrior training, your death sports, your weapons of mass destruction, and your domesticated predatory beasts." "Our what?" Ambassador Martinez looked genuinely puzzled. "Your death sports," repeated Vex 9, "the rituals where humans throw themselves from great heights or battle each other in arenas for the entertainment of crowds, Ambassador." Martinez blinked several times before understanding dawned on her face. "Commander, are you talking about bungee jumping and boxing? If those are the names of your combat rituals, yes." "Those aren't combat rituals," Martinez explained patiently. "They're recreational activities, sports, games. We do them for fun and exercise." The silence from the alien fleet was deafening. On dozens of ships, hundreds of beings stared at their communication devices in disbelief. "They claim their death rituals are games," Dr. Keth Prime whispered in horror. "That makes them worse," replied General Scarblade. "A species that treats mortal combat as entertainment is beyond our understanding." The diplomatic situation deteriorated rapidly from there. Every human explanation of their culture and behavior was misinterpreted as evidence of their dangerous nature. When Ambassador Martinez mentioned that humans kept dogs as pets, The aliens assumed she was boasting about their domesticated weapons. When she explained human sports and competition, they heard descriptions of a species that lived for conflict. President Chen tried a different approach. Perhaps some of you could visit Earth, see our civilization firsthand. We would be honored to host diplomatic delegations from your various species. This offer sent waves of terror through the alien fleet. The humans were inviting them to come within range of Earth's weapons and defenses. To the aliens, it sounded like a trap. They want us to enter their territory, General Scarblade snarled. They plan to capture us and study our technology. Or worse, added Dr. Keth Prime. They might want to add us to their collection of domesticated species. The final misunderstanding came when Dr. James Wright, Earth's leading xenobiologist, enthusiastically described human interest in alien biology and culture. We have so much to learn from each other, he said excitedly. We'd love to study your different evolutionary paths, understand your unique biological adaptations, and learn about your cultural development. The scientific possibilities are endless. To the aliens, this sounded like a human scientist explaining how he planned to experiment on them. Commander Vex 9 ended the communication abruptly. We will consider your proposals and respond within 72 hours. As the alien fleet moved to a safer distance from Earth, emergency meetings began on every ship. The humans had not only refused their generous offer of exile, they had invited the aliens to surrender themselves for experimentation and had demanded technological tribute. They're more dangerous than we thought. Vex 9 reported to the Galactic Council. Dr. Zeph Minor had always been considered strange by her fellow Zephyrians. While other members of her species focused on military strategy and technological advancement, she spent her time studying alien cultures and behaviors. Her colleagues thought her work was useless, but Dr. Zeph Minor believed that understanding was more important than conquest. For months, she had been trying to convince the Galactic Council that their interpretation of human behavior was wrong. But as a junior researcher with no military experience, nobody listened to her reports. Now, as the galaxy prepared for possible war with humanity, she knew she had one last chance to prevent a catastrophic misunderstanding. She stood outside Commander Vex 9's private office, holding a data tablet containing 6 months of careful research. Her forearms trembled with nervousness as she waited for permission to enter. Commander, she began when finally admitted, I believe we have made a terrible mistake about the humans. Vex 9 looked up from his battle plans with irritation. Dr. Zeph Minor, I do not have time for theoretical discussions. The humans have proven themselves to be exactly as dangerous as we suspected. But sir, that's just it. They haven't proven anything of the sort. We've been misinterpreting everything we've observed. The commander's skin shifted to a darker shade, indicating his growing impatience. Explain quickly. Dr. Zeph Minor activated her data tablet, displaying images of human activities that had terrified the galactic community. Let's start with what we call their death sports. We've been interpreting these as combat training, but look at the context. The screen showed humans bungee jumping, but this time Dr. Zeph Minor had included footage of the safety equipment, the medical personnel standing by, and the careful preparation that went into each jump. They take extensive precautions to prevent injury, she explained. These activities are designed to create excitement while minimizing actual danger. It's recreational risk-taking, not combat preparation. But they smile while doing dangerous things, Vex 9 protested. Because the danger is controlled, Dr. Zeph Minor replied. Humans appear to enjoy challenging themselves in safe environments. It's a form of personal development, not warrior training. She switched to footage of human martial arts competitions. Look at their fighting sports. Yes, they engage in physical combat, but notice the rules, the referees, the immediate medical attention for injuries. They've created ways to compete safely. Commander Vex 9 studied the images more carefully. He had to admit that the humans did seem to go to great lengths to avoid serious injury during their competitions. What about their weapons? He asked. They have enough nuclear arms to destroy their own planet, and they choose not to use them, Dr. Zeph Minor pointed out. In fact, they've been reducing their nuclear arsenals for decades. They created these weapons during a period of global conflict, but as their civilization matured, they recognized the danger and began limiting them. She brought up charts showing the gradual reduction in nuclear weapons on Earth over the past several decades. This suggests wisdom and restraint. Not aggression, she continued. A truly violent species would have used these weapons by now. But what about their territorial expansion? They've colonized every environment on their planet. Dr. Zeph Miner smiled, a expression her species reserved for moments of particular insight. Commander, they didn't conquer those environments, they adapted to them. Humans don't change their surroundings to suit their needs as much as they change themselves to suit their surroundings. She showed images of human settlements in harsh environments. Look at their Arctic research stations. They don't terraform the ice caps. They build specialized habitats and wear protective clothing. They work with their environment rather than against it. Commander Vex 9 was beginning to see her point, but he still had doubts. What about their rapid technological advancement during our test? They reverse-engineered our technology impossibly quickly. Because they're naturally curious and cooperative, Dr. Zeph Miner explained excitedly. When faced with a challenge, their entire species shared information instantly. Scientists from different nations worked together as if they were one research team. They didn't steal our technology. They learned from it and built upon it. She displayed recordings of human internet activity during the invasion. Look at how quickly they shared discoveries. A breakthrough in one laboratory was known worldwide within minutes. Their global communication networks allowed them to function as a single intelligence when necessary. But that makes them more dangerous. Not less, Vex 9 argued. Only if you view cooperation as a threat, Dr. Zeph Miner replied. To humans, sharing knowledge is natural behavior. They do it constantly, even during peacetime. She showed examples of human scientific collaboration, open-source software development, and international research projects. This is their normal state, she explained. They share information freely because they believe that helping others ultimately helps themselves. It's not military coordination. It's cultural cooperation. Commander Vex 9 stared at the data, seeing human behavior in a completely new light. What about their domesticated predators? Their consumption of poison? Dr. Zeph Miner couldn't help but laugh, a sound like musical chimes. Commander, they don't keep predators as weapons, they keep them as companions. Humans form emotional bonds with other species. They care for animals that serve no practical purpose except friendship. She showed videos of humans playing with dogs, cats sleeping on their owners, and children feeding ducks in parks. As for consuming poison, she continued, ethanol in small quantities is mildly intoxicating but not lethal. They use it as a social lubricant during celebrations and gatherings. And their spicy foods aren't actually poisonous. They just stimulate pain receptors in their mouths, which somehow enhances flavor. You're saying they torture themselves for better taste? Vex 9 asked in confusion. In a way, yes. Humans appear to enjoy complex sensory experiences, even when they include mild discomfort. It's another example of their unusual relationship with challenge and stimulation. Dr. Zeph Miner pulled up her final set of data, psychological profiles of individual humans that she had been studying for months. Commander, the most important thing we've missed is this. Humans are not aggressive by nature. They're adaptive. When faced with threats, they become defensive. When offered friendship, they become cooperative. When presented with challenges, they become innovative. She showed examples of human behavior in different contexts: peaceful cooperation during normal times, fierce determination during crises, and enthusiastic collaboration when working on shared projects. Their response to our test wasn't evidence of warrior nature, she concluded. It was evidence of problem-solving ability. We presented them with a puzzle and they solved it. Commander Vex 9 sat in silence for several minutes, processing this new interpretation of human behavior. Finally, he activated his communication device. Dr. Keth Prime, report to my office immediately. Bring all senior staff. Within an hour, Dr. Zeph Miner found herself presenting her findings to the entire command structure of the alien fleet. The response was mixed. Some officers remained convinced that humans were dangerous, while others began to see the logic in her arguments. Even if you're correct, said General Scarblade, the galaxy still believes humans are a threat. How do we fix that? We tell the truth, Dr. Zeph Miner replied simply. We admit our mistakes and help everyone understand what humans really are. And what are they? Asked Dr. Keth Prime. Dr. Zeph Miner smiled. They're us, Commander. They're curious, social adaptive beings who want to understand the universe and their place in it. They're not perfect. They make mistakes. They sometimes fight among themselves, and they can be stubborn. But at their core, they're explorers and builders, not conquerors. The debate continued for hours, but eventually, Dr. Zeph Miner's evidence became impossible to ignore. The Galactic Council voted to attempt a new approach to human contact. This time, instead of massive fleets and formal diplomatic protocols, they sent a single small ship carrying Dr. Zeph Miner and a handful of other researchers. Their message to Earth was simple. We come to learn about each other. The human response was immediate and enthusiastic. Within hours, Earth had prepared a welcome ceremony and scientific exchange program. President Chen personally invited the aliens to visit major cities, universities, and cultural centers. Dr. Zeph Miner became the first alien to set foot on Earth. As she stepped out of her shuttle onto the landing pad at the United Nations headquarters, she was greeted by thousands of cheering humans and dozens of scientists eager to meet her. "Welcome to Earth," President Chen said warmly, extending her hand in the human gesture of greeting. Dr. Zeph Miner carefully grasped the human hand with one of her forearms. "Thank you for having us. We have much to learn from each other." Over the following weeks, Dr. Zeph Miner's team toured Earth and transmitted their findings back to the galaxy. The reality of human civilization was nothing like the terrifying stories that had spread through alien communities. They visited schools where human children learned about different cultures and species. They attended sporting events where humans cheered for athletes from other countries.